It is Brent. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is Brent Harding, and it gives me great pleasure to welcome you to the Wealth Warrior broadcast. I'm very enthusiastic, very excited because we have one heck of a topic today, and it is ladies. That's right, ladies. You are the face of entrepreneurship, and I have an incredibly qualified SME to speak with us today. But before we get started, let's talk about what are wealth warriors? Why do we exist? What are we about? We are people, men and women, that are fighting for our family's financial future. When I say fighting, I mean we are willing to put it on the line because it's not just for today, but it's for generation after generation after generation. And it all starts with us. We are more than likely the first generation wealth babies. So you know what we like to do? We like to start off by hashtag I am a first generation wealth baby. So go on up to our exclusive Facebook page, The Wealth Warriors, and I want you to hashtag I am a first generation wealth baby. Can you do that for us? Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. You know, the entire month has been dedicated to entrepreneurship. We've had SMEs on here that have defined entrepreneurship for us, have talked about commitment to entrepreneurship. But one of the keys that I want to bring up today is that ladies are really growing in this industry. Why? In some instances, because we need to make those career moves. In other instances, we are the breadwinners and we need to bring in more revenue to our household. So it gives me incredible pleasure to bring before you a woman that has spent a significant amount of her life working for, with, and about women. And she's going to talk to us about women and entrepreneurship. She's going to talk to us about the fact that we are the fastest growing, sustaining entities on the planet in the United States, and that is women entrepreneurs. We want to be business owners. In some instances, we have no choice but to want to be the boss. So, without further ado, are you ready, warriors? Let's bring it to the forefront. I would like to introduce you to the CEO, the president of WEEI. That is none other than Ms. Alice Williams. And may I say, Ms. Williams, are you there?
I'm here, Brent. Thanks so much for the great introduction also.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Well, I'll tell you what, first and foremost, please give people, I've given them a touch of your background, but please expound on your background for them.
Sure. First of all, again, I'm Alice Williams. I am the CEO of my own company called Strategic Consulting Concepts. And I'm also the founder of a nonprofit called WEEI, which stands for Women Empowered for Entrepreneurial Excellence. I always believe that within each of us that we've been given the ability or the desire to be sustainable people. We're kind of programmed into going to work. And one of the reasons why we know that that doesn't set well with most of the population is they go to work Monday mornings, more taxed than any other day of the week. Women are now entering that issue also with their health because that's the number one cause for women now is a heart attack. So we're going through environments every day that don't really fit our mold as people. And entrepreneurship does. You know, I say that in each of us is a desire to do something to sustain ourselves. So after being laid off myself 3 times, I decided I'd never get laid off again. So I created my own company. And just in case things didn't always work out there, I also created a not-for-profit. So I'm able to work both of them. One of the things that I often do as a minority women business owner that be certified is I go after work and I can subcontract to my nonprofit, which also helps that entity grow. But it's also a great way to deal with tax liability because I can donate to the nonprofit and then allow it to do exactly what I want to help other women fulfill their dreams.
Oh, whoa, wait a second. You hit us with some serious creativity there, Alice. You said that first of all, getting laid off 3 times is,
Yes.
yeah, by the 3rd time, you're like, okay, I've had this. This is enough for me. But then what I heard you say is that you actually started a business and then you started a tax exempt organization, better known as a nonprofit, and you can
Yes.
actually contract from
Yes.
your business to your nonprofit. That is
Yes.
pretty daggone creative.
Yes.
That
It's
is,
all the time.
well, it's done all, is it not, really, it is done all the time, but many of us are just, wow,
But
okay.
you see it in the business world, mainly where you see corporations that have foundations. So, or individuals that have very prosperous companies and they create foundations. And then that way they're able to give money into their nonprofit entity. And then they direct where they want their taxes to go. I happen to do mine just a little differently because not-for-profit as opposed to a foundation, and then that way I can support the growth of the nonprofit.
Fantastic. I do apologize there. A little bit of a break there. That is probably, out of all the people that I've had come and speak, Alice, I have to tell you, that has been probably the most creative that I've heard. That is incredibly exciting. In fact, I'm just still sitting up here going, whoa, I'll tell you, warriors, if you heard a nugget, if you heard a nugget in that conversation, I want you to hashtag nugget and tell us what you heard, because that is some powerful information that you got there. I am just jazzed by that. Many years ago, people had shared me, one woman in particular said, I encourage you to have a tax exempt organization. And I remember saying, I'm a for-profit company. Why should I have a tax exempt organization? I want to be making money. Alice, what's wrong with that thinking?
Well, you know what? They both bring in money. One brings in grants, and the other one brings in business. So it's just the system of how taxes are filed. That's all we have to understand. It's just another way taxes are filed. The nonprofit is approved as a 501c3,
Right.
and it's approved by the federal government, by the IRS. So it's a legitimate way to do your dream, your vision to support and help other people. It brings in its own money, and then I also can contribute to it to keep it stabilized as much as I want to. But as a
that is just so sweet.
And soon to be AA certified, there's money that's set aside, there's business that's literally set aside for small businesses. So I was approached just weeks ago. I'm actually working on a concept now for a company because they have been set aside strictly for a minority certified women-owned business. So I will get that work, take my money off the top, my costs, donate the rest to the nonprofit or contract, I should say, the nonprofit to do the work.
Wow, wow, wow.
So the money
well, go ahead.
It's looked at differently than Brent because, of course, I have taxes for mine, and I also have to keep my, reports correct with the Internal Revenue for the not-for-profit. But I keep a board of directors. They don't have to see everything that I earn.
Wow, wow, and double wow. I tell you, I realize we have women that are warriors, we have men that are warriors, and obviously this can be done by any party. Am I right about that, Alice? When I say it can be done by either party, I mean it's not just delegated. It's not set aside for women. Women can do this.
They can do also. Well, yeah. You have to understand the entities. You have to understand why you're going to do it. I have people that come to me and they want to, and I give assistance business coaching and assistance in starting up nonprofits.
Mhm.
All concepts are not great nonprofits, just as all concepts are not great businesses. Like, you're never going to get a profit and get a grant, but you can get sponsorship as a for-profit, and you can get sponsorship as a nonprofit.
Okay.
So one of the things that I do, I'm sorry, go ahead.
You were saying that not all nonprofits can get grants because it may not be the right idea. Is that what I understood?
Not saying all ideas or business concepts don't always make good nonprofits, and vice versa. Some concepts that people have, business concepts that they have, are not feasible to be for-profits.
Okay. All righty.
The things I do want to share is people so often want to do what they've had an experience with. For example, if a person has a lot of veterans in their family, then they want to do the services. Well, that's better suited oftentimes as a not-for-profit, because there's a lot of money out there right now to support veterans. But that same person could become a consultant for the Veterans Administration as a for-profit. You have to kind of look at it. So one of the strengths I have, one of my expertise, is sitting down with an individual and helping them to determine the feasibility of their concept from a for-profit and a not-for-profit side. And I'm able to help them formulate the business and also the not-for-profit.
Wow. I like that. I tell you right now, I'm just so intrigued by the fact that I'm just intrigued by the having two sides of the business. I think that is just, it's phenomenal, and it's certainly a clear way to go. Alice, right now, as far as a woman opening up a business, what are the areas, what are some of the business types that she would want to open up? I mean, I think about contracts with government, something that she could do contracts with government, but when you're sitting down with women, what do you share with them as a vehicle or a business to open up?
Well, you know, Brent, one thing that I try to, and in my assessment with women, oftentimes trying to find out where their skill sets are, what's their knowledge base. We often want to start something that we know nothing about. We think it's a good idea. So what I often see, because I work primarily with marginalized women, I want to say that they're women in transition. They usually have a few $1,000s to start a business. They've had little or no experience in the business world. They had no father or mother or model that they could learn business from, and they've not inherited any business. So I could put them in a category often as marginalized. Marginalized could also be a woman that borderlines poverty. And you know, oftentimes once we leave our jobs, leave our places of employment, the truth of the matter is most of us are 2 weeks away from poverty anyway. So
Do you think that 2 weeks away from poverty just applies to marginalized women, or would you say people in general are a paycheck away?
Almost working women, many working women. So what happens is they come to me and all they have is their 401k, which in wisdom, that should not be the money they use to start or know anything about. Because now they, because that's retirement.
Is the reason that most women end up becoming the face of entrepreneurship is brought on by a hardship, that they didn't actually go in with the idea, yes, I want to open up a business, but suddenly they found themselves either having to open up one or wanting to open because they couldn't find a job? Is that what has driven or made women or ladies the face of entrepreneurship?
It's usually because of unemployment. Excuse me for one moment. I'm so sorry, Brent.
Well, you know, it's really interesting that that would be the case. In fact, I remember one of the reasons why I actually ended up becoming an entrepreneur, or I started my own business, was because I decided I was working for a tax-exempt organization, and I had gotten I had a part-time gig, if you will, a part-time gig. And I said, well, you know what? If I work this hard on a part-time, what would happen if I decided I would do it full-time? And what I found interesting is that a lot of times women who actually start their own business don't have a business plan. We just go full throttle, and we are the face of entrepreneurship.
Yes, and it usually comes because of unemployment, layoff, or work-life balance. You know, sometimes new children are born, babies are born, and mother just can't go back to work because of the cost of care. And we find that more often in Caucasian women, because oftentimes they have a spouse that can help to support a professional spouse. So you see work-life balance, lifestyle choices around entrepreneurship most often in Caucasian. However, the largest rise in entrepreneurship has come from the African American woman and the Hispanic woman. In 19
Stop. Say that again. The largest, tell me that again.
The largest increase in small business ownership has come from the African American woman and the Hispanic woman.
Why is that?
In 19, well, I'm not exactly sure. I believe that it's because our government has decided to put a lot of emphasis in women ownership. You know, where they've worked harder, and agencies like mine have worked harder to make women bankable. We still aren't reaching the levels of increased revenue that we should in businesses. And I'm working on some workshops about that right now, because we have a tendency to open up service organizations, restaurants, catering companies. We want to be event planners, daycare centers. But in all reality, if you really want to find wealth in entrepreneurship, you should become a government contractor. There's really business set aside. And Brent, one of the things that I like to share with women as I talk to them about opening businesses is whatever job you had that you were very good on, that you were making good at, that you were making $60,000, $70,000 often on that job, and they laid you off so that they could bring in temporary stuff or part-time work. Oftentimes you can turn that around and package yourself as an independent contractor and go right back into the company and get contract work. So in the assessment process, I'm always talking to women about, what did you already do? For example, you were in real estate. Real estate consulting is a big business right now. And will always be.
Whoa. Is it really? Why is that?
Well, if you at when you look at gross national product of this country, whenever they want to do a measurement of the economy, the first thing they look at is real estate. If people are not buying and selling real estate, the economy is terrible.
Wow, I will bet you. Did you catch that nugget, ladies and gentlemen? The economy is predicated on business. Woo! Okay, that is a breaker right there. I love it. What's that?
The movement of real estate. It's real estate. So it's the movement of real estate. So, you know, banks utilize the skill sets all the time, because, you know, that's how they make their money, long-term money, 20, 30, 40-year commitments from people, and the interest that they collect on the front end. So it's a commodity that with people with great skill sets in the industry, they can contract their services to banks and to individuals.
I have to tell you, Alice, you know, for somebody who has been in the mortgage and real estate industry, I'm willing to admit I hadn't viewed it from that perspective. I did view it from the perspective of how many industries fit into real estate and why it is such a necessity. So when that industry goes down, how many industries it takes with it. But yes, that is powerful. Alice, one of the things that you just mentioned is the fact that women tend to get into businesses that there are so many, the proliferation of them that already exist, and yet they oftentimes do not get into contract services or government contracts where there is money for that. Why is that?
Lack of knowledge, inadequate knowledge about the industry, the fear of bidding, or the process you have to go through. All that's learned. There are organizations just mine, and the government has organizations that will help you through that entire process. There's some contracts that cannot even be awarded unless there is a minority or a woman, a minority, or a veteran aligned with it as a subcontractor. But there's the work out there. The state has worked, local governments have worked, and the federal government has worked. And the work is set aside for small businesses.
Well, Alice, here's a question for you, because it was a question that I've asked each of our SMEs for the month of July, and that is, and as, by the way, yes, ladies and gentlemen, I realize August 1st, different from July 31st, but we were squeezing it in. So kind of think this is like July 32nd, okay? And that is, that is, what's the difference in your interpretation of small business versus entrepreneur? Because you were specific in sharing small business. And oftentimes I make the distinction between a small business and an entrepreneur. So give us your definition, especially given the position that you hold. What do you classify as the difference?
Well, entrepreneurship is a methodology. Small business is entity, the entity that you own. Oh. So an entrepreneur actually that's responsible for developing their small business. A small business could be a micro enterprise. I started off working exclusively with micro enterprises, and those were businesses. That's a business that has less than, well, now it's categorized as $50,000 in starting capital, 5 or fewer employees. But in all reality, Brent, that's how all businesses pretty much started. Microsoft started in the garage with less than $35,000 capital and 5 or fewer employees. So pretty much that's the way America starts. And that's why this is so ideal. The concept of starting a business makes sense for just about anybody, because it doesn't take as much capital as people think. You grow into those other areas. Those are processes and systems that you bring to the business as you grow it. And that can be somewhat intimidating to people, but Main Street is small businesses. These are small businesses with maybe a computer or 2 at the most, and 5 or fewer employees.
Okay, I guess I'm still intrigued for the moment by the difference. So what I heard you say is entrepreneurship is a model, whereas small business
methodology
is a methodology. Okay, so when we keep telling ourselves we are actually entrepreneurs, what in reality what we are small business owners. Yes,
exactly. Entrepreneurship is a I'm trying to think of where it comes from. I believe it comes from
French word, yeah.
Yes, and it goes back to somewhat rooted in the word enthusiasm. So basically, it's a spirit. It's about a mindset. It's about how you step out into it. And I wish I had the definition. You should have told me you wanted that. And you decide you are going to take hold of your own future, entering an environment where you're going to create something to sustain yourself. A lot of people call themselves entrepreneurs.
Okay, I like though that you've laid that out, because now that clearly makes a great deal of sense. Well, you know, one of my passions is network marketing. is network marketing, would I be considered a small, and from your perspective, would I be considered a small business owner when I'm an independent contractor or a distributor for a larger entity?
You can be. You know, I'm very familiar, as much as how we met, I'm very familiar with that channel of distribution. One of the major problems with people in network marketing is never really visualize themselves as a small business. So they never see infrastructure up like a small business to work it. They're relying on a company or someone else's, and if they're not careful, they can become workers. Called independent contractors. So for tax purposes, they've never set the infrastructure up to run a business. So
what would that
it should be done.
What would that infrastructure look like? When you say that they've never set themselves up to be a structure, so what would that look like?
Well, if we look at the old model, one of the older model of network marketing, you know, it's belly up, face to face, talking to people, sharing with them the business opportunity. They became hyped up, they joined the business. Well, and today people are a little bit more sophisticated. They do want to know how it's going to fit into their dreams, their goals, their lifestyles. And, you know, we're in the age now of technology. So actually setting a business up like this, I'm on a call center. I heard you talk about a call center before. It's actually training and developing people, say, on calling your leads and closing them. I get 20 calls like every day. The ability to use social media effectively and closing people and getting them into your funnel, into your pipeline. To that network marketer, you know nothing about creating a funnel, the steps, the processes that you go through to get a person to a close. I worked in a call center in Verizon for years. We called it spinning. We called it spinning, asking questions, getting and walking people through to get the close. You know, identifying what their needs are and having to their needs or show the benefit. There's a training that has to happen, very minor equipment these days, but because we're doing a Google Hangout, but this is an ideal platform to even bring people on to talk to them about solutions to their problems or their needs, and that we have that in a networking business. So we struggle in network marketing because the infrastructure correctly day one.
Got it. Okay, fully understood. Have it. I'm hoping, warriors, I'm telling you right now, one, I personally am being educated, so I hope that you are being as educated as I am being. We have a totally different perspective on that word entrepreneur, in that the reality is when we open up our businesses, it is part of it is a mindset in that we are in fact business owners. And if we allow ourselves to see ourselves as business owners, as Alice has brought out, then we will have a significantly different attitude regardless of the business model. Alice, what are your thoughts on that?
I agree. I think that there are people who call themselves entrepreneurs, and what they're really saying is, I don't work for anybody.
Okay.
That they're really entrepreneurs. You know what I'm saying? You have to create something as an entrepreneur, something that's going to bring in money, that's going to sustain you. You have to generate revenue.
Okay, true that. True that. Ladies and gentlemen, I want everybody to get the fingers going to the keyboard, and I want you to shout it out. Hashtag, I am an entrepreneur. And if you feel so inclined, hashtag, I am a small business owner, because that is what we are when we decide to own our own businesses. Alice, you know, one of the things that we've been talking about for the month of July was entrepreneurship being a significant key, or small business owner being a significant key to wealth. But it's the fact that we have to have the ability to be the force that creates that wealth. What are your thoughts on that relative to ownership?
And one of the things I want to talk to you about the word wealth. Um, Again, wealth is second generational. Right now, we are creating a platform for wealth for the next generation. You have a tremendous lifestyle. You can do very, very, very well. But wealth is that money that's there that you don't have to work for anymore. What we tend to lose sight on is, you know, things have been set up. I was talking a little earlier about foundations. I was insurance policies. If you remember when we had the recession, the group of people that left the United States quickly and they ran over to England because of an insurance company called AIG, one of the old insurance companies in the world, because that's where the wealth is. So we need to make sure that we do the appropriate things and set up the trust funds and put the money into foundations and determine what we're going to do. I mean, we're all going to die, and determine what we're going to do with our lives so that it's one of the greatest investments out there, so that our children or our cause in life are always funded, don't have money. So wealth building is just working a business and financial plan for you now and for the future.
True, that very, very well said. And in fact, we are going to have a program. We're going to spend 1 month talking about the foundations, creating trust, those kind of items. So you just gave a great segue into it. And yet I am sure that many of our wealth warriors have not realized that these tools, these vehicles are out there. And that, as Alice has brought out, is where the wealth is at. It's what we do with that money, where we place that, how we protect it so that it does carry on for the next generation. Remember, we are the first generation wealth babies. Mm-hmm. What's your thought, Alice?
Oh, without a doubt, without a doubt. It's about where we invest our money, how we save, how we look at the future for our children, the plan we put together for them, because they don't know any better. They'll be broke by 30 if you don't have a plan inside the trust. So it's a total plan. It really is. It's a plan. Many of us start later because we worked for a company. Even that, Brent, and someone I beg my pardon, I believe that there was so much money in 401ks that a recession was created because there was going to be a whole lot of millionaires and there would be no class distinction in 2 or 3 generations from now. So wow. I really believe that.
Wow. So that's your belief?
That's my belief. People had become millionaires inside of their 401ks. So they had to wow, because you know we are a country of classes, a world of classes. But
yes, that is true. That is very true.
But there's a reason why we continue to do that. And I think that we need to have investment clubs. You know, women need to get together like the men do once a week at 6 o'clock in the morning over a cup of coffee and talk about how we use each other's talents and skills to grow ourselves. And everything doesn't have to be money in it. Monetizing the concept or everyone's concept. And I do believe that. I think women have a lot to do, a lot of work to do around that. It's a trust factor. But the old boy club has been doing it for a long time. So we need to have the new girls club.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. And you know now that Alice is now a part of the Wealth Warrior, a part of the Wealth Warrior faculty. Whenever an SME comes on, they come into that. So we know that there's a person that is going to be a part of the charge that is going to bring that about. And her name is Alice Williams. Absolutely. That, you know, I agree with you wholeheartedly. We are talking right now about a real estate club because we need real estate being a foundation. Alice, as you brought up, being a foundational aspect of the economy, we need to invest in those things. And the charges by October, everybody needs to have a minimum of a check that has a comma in it. It has 3 zeros behind it, a dot and 2 more zeros, and there's got to be a figure in front of that comma. Why? Because real estate purchasing, it is the foundation of it is dollars, and dollars, it's comma checks that then allow us to grow that wealth through real estate. So we've talked about credit in the past. We've talked about mortgages. We've talked about real estate. We have talking about business. These are all foundational items that are necessary in order for us to realize wealth. Now, right now, we said by 2016, April, we should be in position where we've bought property, where we've established trust, where we've done those kind of things. So the foundations are being laid. You are getting the information so that you can take action. That's pivotal. You know, having all this information and not doing anything with it, not good. In fact, Robert Randolph, who was with us last week, talked about our commitments and the fact that we've got to be committed to this. That's why it's wealth commitment, and we are wealth warriors. They go hand in hand. You've got to be committed, and then you've got to fight for it. What are your thoughts, Alice?
Oh, without a doubt. And it's not as much of a risk as people think. It's a fear factor. You do have to get in it and do it. Get it down. You know, I have several coaches, well, 3 coaches. And you have to get it done. You know what I'm saying? So I have a coach that came out of media, and she has a well-known face, so she's a door opener. I have another one that sits at the helm of a vice president of a major company here, a personal friend. She's distinct. You've got to get things done. And then I have a person who actually does storyboarding and planning with me. It's hard. It's very hard. You know, when you know someone that's accountable, 3 other people that want to see you successful. But the only way that you can make it happen, you have to give up, I know everything and I do, and sit to hear people scrutinize you, criticize you, redevelop you, reorganize your thinking process so that we can move, and I can move into that world of success. So Brent, it is, wealth building it's a piece of work. It really is. And it's something that we all have to do, and we trust someone in the process.
You know, Alice, you brought out a couple of key elements there. One of them being that we need to surround ourselves with coaches. You've got to have some strategic people that you are willing to listen to what they have to say, because they have an expertise, so that we can get there. And wealth is it's work. It's a journey. It doesn't happen just because we say, hey, I want it to happen. We're talking generational wealth, ladies and gentlemen. And the only way that happens is the work that you do now. It's going to benefit the next one. It'll benefit you here, but those next ones, it should benefit them tremendously. Ladies,
Exactly.
we are the face of entrepreneurship, and we want to embrace it. We're the face of small business. We want to embrace that, take it, own it, and build from it. Alice, I know that you may not know you might know the statistics off the top of the head, but in terms of women-owned businesses, what percentage right now of business are women owning?
Well, I don't have, I think it's about, I'm not sure. I did look at that a little earlier. I don't quite remember. I will tell you this, that in 1997, 1 in 6 businesses were owned. Now it's 1 in 3 businesses that are owned.
That is huge. That is.
I will tell you that by 2018, 51% of the workforce is going to come from women-owned businesses. So
is that, Alice, because we're leaving? I mean, I know that you talked about the fact that one of among the reasons women get into business is because they've had a loss of job, they've had a loss of some level of economy. But is it now, based on that statistic or that timeline of 2018, is that because we're choosing now to go into businesses?
Well, because women are opening businesses at the rate that they are, and any minority women, the reality is they have to hire. There's no growth unless they're employees. So women are hiring, their businesses are growing, they're becoming stronger, and they are hiring people. So, you know, data is showing in the Department of Labor by 2018, 51% of the workforce will come from women-owned small businesses. And that's a great plus for us. That tells us right now that this is our time. From a consulting perspective, it's the right time. And, you know, on the news, every day, evening news is talking about what the labor market looks like. So there's a lot of attention on us right now as women business owners to become solid foundational companies, so that revenue generating companies, because we're getting ready to hire workforce.
Wow, that is huge. Alice, is that just here in the United States, or is this a global conversation, or is it a domestic conversation?
This is a domestic conversation.
A domestic conversation.
But women are now when you talk about workforce, we are talking about sick. But when you talk about revenue generating, we are talking globally, you know, because, you know, we have the ability to hire or to contract with other countries also. We can also move goods from one country to the other. E-commerce is a wonderful way to look at moving products, because it's financed. The federal government will finance up to 8% of that. So let's say you're selling, I'm working with a lady right now who sells hair products. So the most logical place for her to move products to is Canada. So she doesn't have to, there is a system put in place with 80% of the money sitting there to help her move those products. So there's no loss. There's no loss for her. Her profit is built in that. And then she can pay it back.
Huge. That is absolutely huge.
Local level, local governments will help to front money to finance contracts. And I think that's where people have their fear of going into contract work, because they don't feel like they have the capitalization for growing in higher markets, more profitable markets. But if there's a dealing of government money, and in most entities there is, then they can go in and ask for the supply diversity department and get their piece of it.
Very nice. Sorry, continue on, Alice, continue.
To get it because you ask for it. But it takes a bit of work, Brent. It takes work. Part of what we're doing right now is positioning. You've got a face out here in Wealth Warriors. Somebody's going to pick that. Those are the things that get people to start seeing. These are the venues where we're begin to see someone with a face like yours, and they say, "Oh, we might be able to use her." But it's packaging ourselves. So any women out there that are listening in, that are out there listening, it's professional packaging, professional pricing, and then positioning. To the 3 P's: packaging, pricing, and positioning.
And we need somebody to go hashtag packaging, pricing, and positioning. That needs to be hashtag, ladies and gentlemen. That needs to be up there. You know, so Alice, I want to tell you, in a short period of time, you have really given us much more than we could have anticipated or expected. I am very enthusiastic, very excited. And one of the things that you said that was pivotal is you said, ask. You know, sometimes you're right, that fear, why is that fear there, Alice? Please tell us as we start to wrap up, why is that fear there?
Well, fear always comes from the fear of someone, the fear of rejection, someone's saying no to you. I go through that also, Brent. I just learned recently when I was approached about sending a concept about what I could do for this company. and they would sponsor. Well, it's not even they have money that they want to give to a minority women business owner to run something, a couple of workshops. So I got a little nervous about it. Then I went back into some of my emails and realized that I've written several concepts. I had done one before some years ago, and I said, oh, well, I'm going to send that one to another agent. Or there's a person that owns a large construction company here, and he does work for HUD. So he has the contract to, just give you an example, he has the contract, management contract. So within that is something called, just something found on the internet the other day about sustainability money that the federal government is putting through projects. So entrepreneurship is sustainability. So I'm going to write him a concept paper about 3 pages about what I can do for the that he manages.
Very nice. Very, very nice. And feed yourself into. Is that what I'm going to say? You're going to feed yourself in.
Yes, I can do this. Not only that, I know where the money is. So, you know, I'll sit down and get a grant in there so that you can get the money so you can pay me. So, you know what I'm saying? It's thinking outside the box and pulling it together. So I don't know, it might work, it might not work, but I'm certain I have to market what I do as a entrepreneurship business consultant.
Very nice, very nice. So I heard you mention we have to assess the skills we have, and from skill sets, we can build a business. We can create a business. We have the ability to take those skill sets and find something out there that is existing and pull something together for ourselves. But there are so many vehicles for which and the reason I point that out is more often than not, we see, as you pointed out, there's nothing wrong with daycares, but there's certainly a plethora of daycares. There's certainly a plethora of various items. Let's start expanding, thinking about around the world, think about globally the kinds of things that we can do that will create not only revenue today, but create royalties, residuals, money for tomorrow. That is the quintessential, if for nothing else, that's the quintessential of entrepreneurship. That's the quintessential of ownership. Would you not agree, Alice?
I agree. I agree. And we already have the talents. We have the talents and the skill sets to do it. We just need to know where the resources
we do have those. Yes, you are right. We do have those talents. We have those skills. And you know, we always said if somebody gave us an opportunity or a platform, we would utilize them. Am I right?
That's right. That's right.
So, ladies and gentlemen, as I had said a long time ago, you said that you wanted it. Now, are you willing to fight for it? Because it's yours for the taking. Alice, is it theirs for the taking?
It's for the taking.
And
that's what a true entrepreneur is.
Let's say that again. What was that again?
That's what a true entrepreneur is. They recognize the opportunity that there's for the taking.
Well said. Ladies and gentlemen, we have spent a good 60 minutes this morning talking about something that we all have the capability of doing if we choose to. Now, let me put that in perspective. Ownership is not for everybody that is not willing to own, because it requires responsibility. It requires us to step outside of ourselves and to build something. It takes work. But I'll tell you this, we put so much work into somebody else's operation, and we don't think about the possibility of putting it into ourselves. We can grow this. We can do this. And what's more, that we have the right, because we live in a land of opportunity that allows for that. That allows for that possibility. So one of the things that Alice brought out this morning, though, is there are some who said, you know what, I don't want that responsibility. I don't want to do that. Well, that's okay. And a job is be appropriate for you. But if you are willing to be a warrior and fight for it, then that means you are willing to take that you're willing to take it by the bull by the horns and make things happen for you. That's what warriors do. That's what champions do. Alice, you know what? Your last words, your last thoughts for our wealth warriors, please go right ahead.
I heard you say that, you know, some people will say, well, I don't want to do that. I don't want to work for myself. And that's okay. That's okay. I will always say to a person, maximize your potential, maximize it, monetize your potential. Everything pretty much that we do right now can be monetized. You know, people have women that cooking, they have cooking shows. With you could do your own show. I know how to do Jamaican cooking, watching a lady online on a YouTube video. But she only told you so much. So I get in touch with her and I paid for some recipes. The internet has opened up an opportunity now. WordPress, the ability to do a blog. These are all ways. If blog gets enough attention, your video gets enough attention, sponsors here, they're paying you. So whatever it is that you do and you do very well, remember everything can monetize. If you grew up in the hood, sitting on a corner, and all you saw was prostitutes around you and drug pushers, and you broke out of, you have a story. It can be monetized. People pay to come and hear that. And especially if you go back into that community, into public housing, and you get some people out of it, people pay for that now. Everything has $1 to it. So I'm excited. Monetize yourself. I love this program because that's all you talk about, Brent. Monetize it.
Absolutely. Hashtag monetize it. I love it. I love it. Well, Alice, I want to say thank you very, very much for being with us today. Thank you for being a wealth warrior. Thank you for being not only on the show, but being a part of the faculty, because you have been officially inducted into the faculty. It will be great to see you again. Alice, please share with us how people can contact you if they want to get more information. Maybe they want to utilize your services. How may they contact you?
I'm going to give you my email address. It's weeincubator@gmail.com. Again, it's we with 3 E's, .incubator@gmail.com. And I use the Gmail because it's free.
Yes, because it's free and can be utilized.
Free. All connected into the Google network. It's free. So email me. If anybody wants to talk with me, email me. I will follow up with you. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in the riches of the world.
Hello. Sounds like a plan. Well, on that note, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being with us on today's broadcast. We are always enthusiastic to have you. Remember, the story goes on long after the show is over. So if you've got something you want to share with our warriors, but with each other, by all means do so. We will see you again next week. Same place, same time, 9 a.m. The Wealth Warrior broadcast begin. Everybody, I want you to go out and be amazing. Bye-bye now.